For great Pokemon TCG product and prices, check out ccgcastle.com.
What's up, Pokemon fans? I'm Professor K for the Pokemon Evolutionaries, back again with another Deck Tech Thursday. We took another week off for Thanksgiving, but we are back at it once again here, profiling another standard format deck for you guys, and this is one that has gained a little bit of popularity, and it's a lot of fun to play and can be super competitive. It hasn't necessarily topped anything, but it has actually showed up in like top 32, top 16, I think. But it's a super fun deck. I love it. I was playing it on PTCGO on the stream, and that deck is Gyarados. So let's go ahead and just jump right in here to this standard deck profile for Deck Tech Thursday. I know all of you guys have been wondering where Deck Tech has been. Well, you know, it's just one of them things where we have a new set come out, and then a holiday comes in, and we just kind of take a little bit of a break. So we're back at it again though, so let's go ahead and kick things off here. Now, the card we're going to be starting with is going to be Magikarp. Who would have thought a 30 HP Pokemon would be in a competitive deck in this day and age? Well, here it is, folks. Magikarp himself, 30 HP, Epic Splash is the only attack, and we have 4 of these bad boys. I know my buddy Kevin Krust is super thrilled to see me using one of his all-time favorite Pokemon in a deck. But hey, it's necessary because if we want to use this bad boy right here, Ancient Trait Gyarados, this thing is just so good. I mean, his Ancient Trait alone is good, but we're not even going to be using his Ancient Trait Theta Double being able to attach 2 tool cards. What we are going to be using is 1 attack and 1 attack only. Full Retaliation. This attack does 30 more damage for each damage counter on your benched Magikarp, for 30 plus 30 for each damage counter, and it's a double colorless energy. Now, of course, we are going to have 4 of these. It only makes sense. This is our only attacker that we want to be using the entire game. We want benched Magikarp, lots of damage, and lots of draw support. Now, how are we going to get that draw support? Well, we have a couple of options. Number 1 is going to be, we have 2 copies of Remoraid, which leads into, of course, 2 copies of Octillery. So Remoraid, of course, is the pre-evolution. We got to get this thing out and benched, and then we're going to go into Octillery here. So Octillery has Abyssal Hand. Once during turn before you attack, you may draw cards until you have 5 in your hand. It's a mini Shaman, but it's a water type. We already are running Dive Ball and Level Ball, so it only makes sense to utilize Octillery in this deck. But that's not to say that we have to ignore Shaman completely, because Shaman EX is still really good setup, being able to put this Pokemon into play and draw up to 6 cards in your hand. So we have the ways to draw what we need. The only problem is we're a little bit fragile in this deck. Obviously, we're dealing with 30 HP Pokemon that we want damage counters on. And then our strongest Pokemon is 130 HP, and it's needing a double colorless. So we don't run a lot of energy, as you're going to find out. So we need a lot of cards to help us get that and get stuff back if we need to. So let's go ahead and jump into the supporter lineup here. We've got 4 copies of Professor Sycamore. Discard your hand and draw 7 cards. Best draw supporter in the game. And this is a definite must. 4 copies in this deck. We also have 2 copies of N, because truth be told, when this deck runs the way it's supposed to, N is going to really hurt you more than help you, unless you are really behind and you're trying to help your opponent get down to a small hand size and get cards for yourself. Also, when dealing with a deck with such low HP Pokemon, it's only smart to have 2 copies of Teammates. So you can only play this card if one of your Pokemon was knocked out during your opponent's last turn, not in between turns, on your opponent's last turn. So if you get knocked out by poison or something, or burn damage or something, it doesn't matter. Teammates won't activate. It has to be damage from your opponent's attack on the last turn, not in between turns. Also, we have 1 copy of Lysander, being able to get something out of your opponent's active position and bring up something off the bench. Definitely a very important thing. I would like to have 2 copies in this deck, but I don't really have the room for it. 1 will have to do. Also, we've got 1 copy of Hex Maniac, being able to stop your opponent's abilities for 1 turn. Actually, yours and your opponent's, I should say. So that will do that. And then we also have 1 copy of Pokemon Ranger, because when we're dealing with a deck with double colorless energy, Giratina is a problem. Being able to, having them being able to stop you from attaching special energy, definitely a big problem. So we want to be sure to stop that, and Pokemon Ranger does that job. So there's that. Now we're going to move on to our items here. pretty standard item lineup to start with. 4 copies of VS Seeker, being able to get a supporter card from your discard pile, put it into your hand. Very important. I don't see why anyone would ever use any less than 3 of these, and even then I'm kind of wondering why you don't have a 4th. Also, we've got 4 copies of Trainer's Mail. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck. You may reveal a trainer card you find there, except for Trainer's Mail. Put it into your hand. Another way to search out trainers in this deck is Trainer's Mail, and it's really good because we need a lot of ways to get Pokemon and things we need for those Pokemon. So we've got 4 copies of Dive Ball. Put a water Pokemon from your deck into your hand. So you're going to search, reveal it, put it into your hand. This gets out everything except for your Shaymins, which is really, really important because we need Magikarps on the bench and we need Gyarados in the ready to go. Also, Remoraid Octillery help get that as well. We also have 4 copies of Level Ball because Magikarp, Remoraid, and Octillery are all under 90 HP. So you're going to search your deck for a Pokemon with 90 HP or less, reveal it, put it into your hand, shuffle your deck afterwards. This deck is all about search, all about getting out what you need and making it work consistently. So if we ever get anything knocked out or have to discard stuff we don't like, there's another way we can get stuff back, and that is going to be 4 copies of Puzzle of Time. Now, you can play this card one of 2 ways. If you play one of them, look at the top 3 cards of your deck and put them back in any order. But if you play 2 at one time, you can get 2 cards out of your discard pile and put them into your hand. So if you get like Magikarps knocked out or get rid of DCEs or something, you can get them back with Puzzle of Time. Definitely an important card. All right, we also have 3 copies of Acro Bike. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck and put one of them into your hand, discard the other card. Very important, more extra draw support and getting into things that you need. Also, we have 2 copies of Buddy Buddy Rescue. Each player puts a Pokemon from his or her discard pile into his or her hand. So again, knock out a Magikarp or a Gyarados or something. You can get it back. Your opponent gets one too, but it's a perfect way to get it right back into your hand and start making things happen once again. So next card on the list is going to be 2 copies of Floatstone. Octillery is definitely something you don't want stuck in the active. You're not going to be able to do anything with it, so you need to get it out, and Floatstone is the way you're going to be able to do that. Unless you're under some kind of item lock, this is definitely a must. You can also attach it to Gyarados if you want to retreat. That 3 retreat cost is pretty darn heavy. You can also attach it to Shaymin to retreat if you're stuck in the active with that, but mostly this is going to be for Octillery. We also have 1 copy of Special Charge. Shuffle 2 energy cards from your discard pile back into your deck. Just in case your Puzzle of Times over here fail you, you have 1 out to being able to get back your energy at the very least, which is also very important. Sorry about the light there. I just realized my light was glaring onto the cards. Now, this is where you can kind of decide if there's a card you want to pull out of here or if you want to leave it as is. Ultimately, I would love to run 3 copies of this card. This is a very important stadium card. It makes the whole deck work. I would love to have a 4th, and I put in a Special Charge because I don't own a 4th copy. I only own 3. You could take out the Special Charge, rely on your Puzzle of Times, and just run 4 of these Team Magma Secret Base. But since I only have 3, I stuck the Special Charge in here. It's completely up to you guys. Preferably, I would rather have the 4th Team Magma's Secret Base. I just didn't want to proxy a card, but this is another option you can have if you don't feel comfortable with running the energy lineup that you're about to see here momentarily. So this card is super important. Why is this card super important? Well, whenever any player puts a basic Pokemon, except for Team Magma Pokemon, onto from his or her hand onto his or her bench, you put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So you're going to bench a Magikarp. You're going to put 2 damage counters on it, leaving it with 10 HP. If you bench all your Magikarp this way, you've got 2, 4, 6, 8 damage counters. 8 total damage counters. Times 3 is 240. Plus 30 is 270. Well, you can't do that because you obviously have to have 1 Magikarp evolved. So let's just say 2, 4, 6. 6 times 3 is 180. 210. 210. And you're knocking out almost everything. I have won games, a lot of them as a matter of fact, a lot of games on turn 2 with this attack, Full Retaliation, after I've benched every one of my Magikarp and evolved 1 into a Gyarados. Turn 2. That's how quickly this deck starts annihilating things. And with the way that you're only giving up 1 prize and getting stuff back with things like Puzzle of Time, Buddy Buddy Rescue, Special Charge, if you choose to use it, this deck is powerful. And with all this draw support, Octilleries, Shaymins, Sycamores, Ents, Acrobikes, all of that stuff. Trainer's Mail. There's only 4 energy. 4 double colorless energy. This is all you need in the deck. This is it. This is it. It's just like the way you played Seismitoad back in the previous format. It's 4 double colorless energy. This deck is so powerful and so strong and so consistent that you only need 4 double colorless energy. I love this deck. I really do. Shout out to my buddy Safraz for coming up with the idea for this. I don't know if it was his idea originally, but I learned this deck from him. So you guys want to go check out his deck profiles. He makes some really cool ones over there too. And more often than even I do, that's the meta deck over on YouTube. So I'll try to remember to put a link down there below, but otherwise just search up the meta deck at in your YouTube search. But this is the Gyarados deck, guys. It's super, super fun. I recommend it to everyone who wants to play a fun deck. You don't necessarily need the Shaman to make this deck work. If you really wanted to, you could take him out. You can keep your special charge, add a 4th Team Magma secret base. You could add like another, I don't know, another Lysander and another secret base and make this deck Shamanless. You could do it. I prefer not to because this is a much more consistent build, but if you don't have the money for Shaman, you could still do it that way. 1 Lysander, another Team Magma secret base. These are expensive though. Octilleries are still kind of pricey, but other than that, the deck would be pretty darn affordable. So you guys can take this deck, do with it what you will, change some things, make it work for you, or play it as it is. I don't mind any way you look at it. This is the deck that I like, the build that I like, so hopefully I'll be able to challenge N for Battle Frontier Friday with whatever it is he decides to build next week. So you guys are definitely going to want to stay tuned for that. And hopefully you guys enjoyed this version of Deck Tech Thursday with Gyarados. Hopefully you guys can be just as excited as me about what's going to happen here next week. So stay tuned, guys, and hopefully you enjoyed this video. If you did, be sure to hit that like button, comment down below, and of course subscribe for more TCG content here on the Pokemon Evolutionaries. Lots of exciting stuff coming your way, so stay tuned, and we will see you guys in the next video. So until then, I'm Professor K for the Pokemon Evolutionaries. You all take care, and have a great day.